Okay, we are live, Chris.
All right, cool. So today, guys, we're going to talk to you a little bit about something called hedonic adaptation and how that affects our emotions and some of the things that we can do about it to help us prolong and re-experience positive emotions more often than the negative emotions. So usually what kind of happens when we have an experience, like a positive experience, maybe eating ice cream, or a negative experience, an argument with our friend, is maybe in that immediate moment we have a really, really strong emotional reaction. So maybe we really like the ice cream flavor that we have, and we have a sense of happiness, of joy, deliciousness, our mouth feels good. But on the other side, if we're having that argument with our friend, we maybe feel some shame and guilt and anger and hostility. And that can be really intense in the moment and the few moments afterwards, maybe a few hours, maybe a few days. But kind of over time, what tends to generally happen, at least for me, and I'm not sure if this is for you, Peter, but in terms of just general people, is we adapt to those situations. So things aren't as bad or as good as when they happened. Is that something that you agree with, Peter, in your experiences?
Yeah, I would say so. But
Yeah, and I think what's helpful is for those negative emotions, right? It's great that we don't have that same intensity, that same amount of anger or frustration, guilt or shame that we have after the argument with our friend months, weeks, years later, right? It's good that we don't have that. And on the flip side, it's not always so great that we don't have that experience with our positive emotions. Wouldn't it be nice if there was some hack or some way that we'd be able to prolong that effect, to have those moments of euphoria, to be able to get a little dose of happiness, joy, serenity, pleasure, whatever it might be from the experience that you had? I think that would be pretty cool and pretty great.
yeah,
And one of the things that have come up, and I know, Peter, you're really familiar with this too, is the idea of a gratitude journal. So in the happiness literature, they say about 40% of your emotions is controllable by things you do.
mm,
Some percentage is just genetics. We've got a base rate of happiness, sadness that we can go. Some is random chance, but about 40% can be controlled by things you do. And researchers have suggested that this idea of a gratitude journal is kind of the number one thing that you can do to control and increase and improve and prolong feelings of happiness, joy, pleasure, positive emotions that we want to experience.
mm,
And the general idea behind this is just grabbing a piece of paper, a notebook, a journal, notepad app on your phone, anything that you can grab, and just write down 3 things that you're grateful for the day.
mm,
And this might be a challenge in the beginning, and that's okay. We're not usually tuned to notice things that are going well in our lives. So if you sit down and you can only write down one thing, that's an okay place to start, and that's awesome that you wrote that down. I will challenge you to be as specific as you can be. So saying something like, it was, I had a good day today, right? Be specific about that. What was really good about that? It could be something like, man, Mary at the coffee shop gave me like a really nice conversation today, and I just really enjoyed being able to talk with her, and she gave me a good compliment about the clothes that I was wearing.
mm,
You know, it also can be helpful to tie it towards people, so you can include a relational component in there. But the big challenge is just to write down the things that you're grateful for, reflect on your day. So not only will that allow you to re-experience the events of the day, but if you're having a difficult moment, you can go back to this journal, this notebook, the app, and look at all the great things that have happened to you over the past. And that kind of gives you that hit of like a little joy, a little pleasure, and helps combat us adapting to those positive feelings that we had.
mm. Yeah, that's it's a great concept, and I will say that me being in a positive state of mind really changes the way I act. And it just really it helps me be more solution oriented. It helps me, you know what I'm saying, rather than just
Mhm.
defeatist. And when something bad happens, I get defeatist. I actually get because of the energy, I'm able to figure out solutions and just navigate through a lot of the obstacles that I go through. And so to be able to, and just in general, just the way you act, people can feel your aura. So people want to be around you if you're positive. And if you're negative, people can just feel that, and just people start staying away, which thus you get even more sad and depressed. And so there's something very powerful to be in that state of mind. And what you're saying is that if you were to be able to recreate that feeling and be in a perpetually positive state of mind by journaling it, or maybe verbally saying it. I think journaling is very powerful. It's probably the most powerful way. But being able to, use some of these tactics to be in that state of mind, there's no way it won't affect your circumstances.
Yeah, I think that's actually absolutely right. And you added something that I didn't really talk much about, but how your emotional and physical state can affect how others interact with you, right? I mean, go out, you can do a little quick behavioral experiment here. Grab your best friend and talk to them with a scowl on your face, short sentences, saying no to everything, versus talking to them in extended answers with a smile, and just notice how that affects their reactions to you. So I think that's a big deal. So not only can journaling about positive experiences make you feel better, but it might also have an effect on the people that you're interacting with.
Mm.
So I think that's a really great, valuable point that you brought up there, Peter.
Right. Absolutely. These are extremely powerful concepts, and you're able to control it though. It's an input. That's all it is. I mean, it's not something that you feel like doing. None of us feel like, journaling and doing all these things, but it's something that you can do without necessarily, wanting to do it and feeling like you want to do it. And yet with that, it's going to end up impacting the way you feel. Like there's not a lot of things that you can do to impact the way you feel, but this is something very simple and easy to be able to actually change your state of mind. So extremely powerful. I know for me personally, I've used a lot of these concepts. I personally, I'm constantly in prayer and just in gratefulness. I pray and I say thank you to God for this, for that. And then of course, like if you see I have literally stacks and stacks of journals. My coach tells me all the time, my mentors tell me all the time, journal, have gratitude. Like me and my team. So I run a team, and I have my team constantly tell me, what are you grateful for? Where they write down what they're grateful for, and it just changes everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was really struck by the point that you made about this is not necessarily something that we want to do or feel like doing all the time. I can totally feel with that. And I almost fell into a little bit of a gym analogy here, in the sense that not many people want to go to the gym and exercise and work out. Yeah, there are definitely people that love doing that and they're really motivated and it's easy for them to go. But it seems like for the vast majority of us, that's something that's a little bit difficult to go and do something that is, in a way, physically difficult. Like it strains your body, it stressed you out, it makes you a little bit tired. And not everyone has fun doing that. And at the same time, we want to be in shape, right? So we've got to do something to make sure our body is taken care of. Well, it's the same thing for our emotions and our mind, right? Is we've got to do the things to help train. So you can look at this gratitude journal of writing down things that you're grateful for as one exercise in your toolkit at the mental gymnasium.
Right.
And so it's the same thing for like the gym. The first day that you go and lift weights, you're not going to have this transformative experience. I don't want to pitch this to you as it's like the cure-all. You do one day of gratitude journals and you're going to be so happy for the rest of your life. This is going to be a continued practice, and some days are going to be harder than others. And what I'll invite you to do is just notice what that experience is like and continue to journal and continue to build this into your practice, knowing that it's a long game, and you're also building this great document that you can go back and look at and see all the cool, wonderful things that you've been able to experience.
Right. Yeah. It's incredible how like the difference between human beings and animals is that we're able to make choices. So we feel a certain way, right? So animals, when they feel a certain way, they act immediately, instinct, right? Boom. I feel this, I move. But for human beings, between the feeling and the action, we have a choice in the middle. And so it's so funny how it's like even with exercise and with writing these gratitude journals in order for you to make yourself feel better, we don't necessarily feel like doing it, but we can make a choice that even though we don't feel it, we can choose to do it. and determine our actions. And it's so funny. It's like it's these things that we do that's going to end up, we have to do the things that we don't want to do, that we don't feel like doing in order for us to break out. But unfortunately, what a lot of people do is they do what their feeling is that's worsening the circumstances, that's making it more difficult for you to feel like doing it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally does, and it really resonates with me. I was at a lecture once from Christopher Martel. He's a guy that is a treatment developer for an approach to help people with depression called behavioral activation. And what he mentioned that's really stuck with me is he just called like the clean sink. Everybody likes having a clean sink, but no one really likes doing the dishes. But to get the clean sink, you've got to go through and do the dishes.
Interesting.
And so I've just always thought about that of like, what's the thing that I really want? What's getting in the way of that? Well, if I want that thing, I've got to do some of the hard stuff too.
Yeah, my coach. I spoke with my coach. My coach charges $3,000 an. No, sorry, hold on. $1,500 an hour. That's how much he charges.
Wow.
And he was telling me all these things that I don't want to do. I made it very clear I don't want to do them, but I do them. You know what I'm saying? Because I want a clean sink. So it's so funny, man. It's just that's why you have a coach to really push you and tell you to do things that you don't want to do and just get the extra push. So
that's right. Outside perspective is helpful, and I feel we're digressing a little bit here. To get back to our point, what we want to challenge everybody today is to write in a journal. Get a piece of paper. Get a notebook, an index card, your phone, Microsoft Word, Notepad. Whatever it is that you can access, to write down at least one thing throughout today that you are grateful for. I really encourage you to try to get 3. And if that's a challenge, 1 is great. Everything else is bonus. And then try each day to write those things down and just notice what it's like to write that down. Do you feel any different? Do you re-experience these emotions? Do you have a little smile on your face? Do you feel something going on in your body that is associated with happiness? And just notice what it's like to do this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully it all goes well, and we'll keep talking about different things that can help both our emotions, our personal development, and our finances and things. We look forward to chatting next time.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, take it easy, man.